Okay, so we're taking a look at how to create a poster using Photopea, and you don't have to use this program, but I recommend it because it works pretty much exactly like Photoshop and it's free. So I'm going to choose a new project, and because I'm making a poster, I'm going to choose 8 by 10. And it should already be set up for a blank white page like this. That's the one I want. And I already went and got the images that I want to use on my poster, and I threw them all in a folder. That's the easiest way to get started, is to figure out what you want your poster to look like. Go get those images off of the internet first and then start putting your stuff together. So I'm going to copy and paste the images into the project, and that makes sure that the project stays the size and the resolution that I want. Don't take an image and type directly onto it, because the images are usually going to be really small. I'm going to put this backdrop from a high school in first because that's going to be my background image. So I'm going to select all and then edit, copy, click on the backdrop and edit, paste. And notice it's really small, so I need to resize it. So I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, Scale, and I'm going to grab a corner and hold Shift. And I do that so that the size changes, but the shape doesn't. You never want to grab a side or the bottom, and you always want to hold Shift. Otherwise this happens and your image gets stretched out or squished, and it becomes really obvious that you changed it up. So again, Edit, Transform, and Scale. Now if you screw it up, you can always go to Undo. Undo is under Edit in every program ever. I can stretch it out bigger than the poster size. Notice that I can make it to where the image goes off screen, and that's fine. And then I'm going to take my next one. So my main character in my book is Hispanic, and she's got short hair, so I did a search for Hispanic girls with short hair. I originally was going to use her, but then I realized that the arms are cut off in her picture, and since I wanted her to be in front, that didn't really work. However, I didn't realize that until I started working. So when you're searching for your image, you may need to take a couple, you may need to choose wisely. So I went with this picture of Selena Gomez in short hair, because she's Hispanic, and that works. So I make her the size that I want in the same way. Edit, Transform, Scale. Grab a corner, hold Shift, stretch it out. Now I need to get rid of this background, and the easiest way for me to do that is just by using an eraser, like this. Now, a couple tips on erasing. Number one, you want to use a soft edged eraser so it doesn't leave jagged edges everywhere. It makes it look a lot cleaner when you put your images together. And you want to do it by clicking and dragging in little spurts. You don't want to hold the mouse button down the whole time that you're erasing. Otherwise, when you go to undo, because you screwed up, because everyone screws up a little when they erase, when you hit undo, it undoes everything that you last did. So here where I screwed up and I accidentally erased her face, if I hit undo, it only undoes that last little bit because I let go of the mouse button. And now I need to zoom in some so that I can erase really close to her head. I'll do the big stuff first, all around her, and then I'll zoom in for the detail. And I'm speeding this up a lot because this will take you a little bit of time and patience and practice. So it looks like I did it in a matter of minutes. It really took me about 30 minutes or so to cut her out, but it looked really good, so I was happy with it. Take your time, be patient, you'll be happy with the results. But again, if you screw up, you can always go to Edit and Undo. So now that I've got her cut out, I want to add the friends in with her. So she's got a blonde friend named Charlie. I'm going to put her in next on one side. Again, copy, paste. And she's smaller than I want to, so again, Edit, Transform, Scale, hold Shift, and grab a corner. I'm going to make her the size that I want. Now notice that she's on top of the Marcia layer. Every time you copy and paste something in Photoshop or Photopea, and I'm speeding up again here, it creates a new layer. But you can change the order of the layers just by clicking and dragging the layers into the order that you want, so that the image or the person or whatever that you want on top, like this, pops up on top. Boom. And I copy and pasted her second friend in. I'm going to resize her as well. I'm going to keep her on top while I cut out her background. That makes it easier to edit. And once I get her looking the way that I want, and again I'm going to zoom in a little bit so I can get in close to her. Once I get her the way that I want, then I'm going to throw her layer into the background like that. And obviously I sped this all up. So now I got my images together. Now when you put multiple pictures together, a lot of times they don't look like they really belong together. So one thing I'm going to do is adjust the brightness and the contrast. Brightness obviously is how bright something is. Contrast is the difference between the darkest parts and the brightest parts. And if you look at Marcia's picture in the front there, Selena Gomez, she's really contrasted. Her face is in half shadow and it's really bright on one side, really dark on the other. So I'm going to adjust the brightness and contrast on the other two so that it looks like a little better, like they belong together. I'm going to increase the contrast and drop down the brightness. That's a little better. And that helps when you have images where the lighting is flat or it doesn't match each other, that kind of thing. You can play around with it to make it look like the images belong together a little better. So I'm ready for the words now. So I'm going to click where the T is on the toolbar there on the side for text. And I'm going to type in what I want the title to be. And notice you can go to the top here and choose the font that you want. And there are a ton of fonts in Photopea, which is another cool thing about it. A lot of programs that I've used before for graphic design, and even Photoshop, the basic version of it, come with maybe 100 or so. Photopea comes with way more than that. So I'm going to pick something that I like, and since I'm doing a movie about 3 girls, I'm going to pick something that's kind of softer edged and not hard. It's not a horror movie or anything like that, or a serious drama. So I picked a soft font, and I'm going to change the size, and I'm going to go really big and then just kind of drop it down until I get it the size that I want. Remember, on a poster you want your title to be the largest words on there. You want to make it very obvious what the title of your movie is. So I'm going to make it bigger and bigger until I get it about the size that I want. Now I think instead of white I'm going to make it black, and you can do that by highlighting the words by double clicking on the text layer and then just going up and changing the color. But notice you have to highlight the words first, like this, before you can make any changes to it. I'm going to make it slightly bigger. There we go. So whenever you're making changes to the text, always highlight the letters first by double-clicking on the text layer. So I think I want to change the text just a little bit more to make it easier to read. Under Layer, they have an option called Layer Styles, and there are tons of options in there, and one of my favorite is Bevel and Emboss. And an inner bevel basically makes the words look three-dimensional by adding shadows and highlights to them, and I like to play around with it until I get it looking the way that I want. And that way your words aren't flat, they're three-dimensional looking. They have some curve to it. And I'm going to give my actors top billing. Top billing means that their names come above the title. And since I have 3 actresses, real people, I can put their actual names on there. And I'm going to pretend like they're my actresses in this movie that doesn't really exist, but I'm going to pretend anyway. And I'm going to make them smaller than the title because, again, the title should be the biggest thing on there. There we go, top billing. And I'm going to add the same little bevel and emboss that I did on the other one. And in fact, I think I'm going to add a glow around them too. So I went to outer glow, which is again in layer styles. And I'm going to play around with it until I get it to look the way that I want. And notice that a little glow or a glow around dark words or shadow around bright words make it stand out more and pop off the screen more. It makes it easier to read. So I've got my title, I've got my actresses' names, which that part is completely optional. And then I want my slogan or tagline at the bottom. I need to make it a little bigger so it's easier to read. And notice too, when I started typing that, it typed underneath the Selena Gomez layer, and I had to move it above her layer so that you could read it. I added the same little outer glow to it. My story is about a girl who comes out in high school, so that's what my tagline is about. Coming out is only the beginning. Okay, so now I like it. My images are set, and I'm really happy with it, so I am going to export it as one image. So I went to export as a JPEG, and now I have a completed poster. Now, if I go to File and Save As, then I can save the project as one file. And that way, if I need to make changes to it, I can make changes to that file. The JPEG is for the finished version so that I can take that, turn that in, or whatever. And again, you don't necessarily need to use actresses or actors for your poster. You can use images. You can use all kinds of settings and whatever you want. Anything that shows the audience what your movie is about or gives them some idea of the kind of movie that it is.